Okay, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us for Drama-Free Intro to NFTs for Marketing and Impactoverse Impact Speed Date. I'm Philo, co-founder of Impactoverse and Chief Marketing Officer. My colleague, Noleen, CEO, is not feeling well today, so she's on chat and camera off, video off, but she's here. So if you join us in a little bit and you have questions, she's monitoring the chat. So feel free to drop any questions you have in there. Today, we want to talk to you about just an overview of NFTs in a marketing context. We're not going to get into a deep dive around the technical aspects of this because honestly, you don't really have to know all the technical aspects of NFTs to know how to use them for marketing. And it's also a very up-to-date presentation based on some, so the space continues to evolve, even though there's a lot of some people have bad taste in their mouth about NFTs from 2021 or so. Things have changed, and that's what we want to update you on today. So let's get started. Let me check the chat real quick. Okay, good. So we fixed it. We can now see the slides, which is very important. All right. So basically, NFTs will revolutionize how anybody who's building an online following interacts with their audience. And this isn't just brands, it also is causes, creators, influencers, celebrities. We're already seeing politicians use it. And the other thing to kind of keep in mind too is your results are faster and bigger, more impactful if you work within an ecosphere. And that's one thing that we identified back over a year ago. And so the silos are breaking down in terms of outreach to fans. And so if you're collaborating with different people in your ecosphere, you will have the benefits of the network effect. We'll talk about that a little bit too. All right, so NFTs are tools. Marketing is a strategy. Focus on your strategy so you've got this. So what I mean by that is it's just another pretty substantial big shiny toy because it is going to change a lot of things about the way humans interact with their stuff and brands and in general. But it's just a tool for your marketing strategy. The fundamentals of marketing strategy haven't changed that much. Get your strategy set up, insert an NFT as a tool, and you're good. So these are some of the points we're going to touch on, and you can screenshot this and look at it later if that helps you. So social media 2.0 is struggling. Some people say it's evolving. I think big pieces of it are dying off. And what I'm referring to is the ad-based model, where they harvest all this information from people, all this data, and they don't pay people for the data, or they don't reimburse them for that, and they sell it back to brands. So the data is not as good as it used to be. That whole model is under question. So we're trying to look for alternatives to Facebook, Instagram. Now, TikTok is a high growth platform, and it's still 2.0 in the fact that it is harvesting a lot of data, but they're doing a lot of things strategically, right? So we'll kind of point those out as well. The opportunity in Web3, which we've been trying to get at in Web2 with email marketing, was to own your audience, right? Brands and influencers spend a ton of money building an audience on these platforms. They don't own the audience. The platforms limit their access to that audience. And unless you pay the platform, it's difficult to do business. So we want to try to own our audience and give them a platform to act out their values. Again, TikTok is doing this in a really effective way. They're giving individual creators a platform to act out their values to the point where you can almost make a living off of videos on how to raise a tortoise. Literally, one of my favorite accounts does that. I don't have a tortoise, but I love the account. Okay, future-proofing. You want to attract and scale a more focused fan base with higher loyalty and engagement. The nice thing about Web3 is we can move away from this, mass spray, just big old top of the funnel idea, which is a very inefficient way to build an audience, to attracting and scaling a more focused fan base. So the tools, NFTs and tokens, these are how we can scale outside of the current social media platforms. And cause marketing strategies are the opportunity from now on. And I will share a little bit of data about that, why that is. So, how do we know? Who am I to say this? Who's Noleen to say this? To be honest, for the last year, we've been connecting the dots, data, and research to make educated guesses about the coming tidal wave of mainstream adoption of NFTs. And honestly, Noleen and I have pretty educated guesses. We've been in this space for years, watched a lot of things evolve. But these are the two big, most recent confirmation. I believe they're confirmation that we're on the right direction. Amazon's launching an NFT marketplace. So that's pretty big news because Amazon doesn't, do things lightly. And if they're seeing an opportunity in this space for the mainstream, that's a pretty good indication that the opportunity is there. So supposedly they're launching on April 24th, 15 collections. Some of their NFTs we find tied to physical items, like a pair of jeans that has a real pair of jeans and an NFT for that pair of jeans, for example. And they are not accepting cryptocurrency. They must have seen the Impactoverse site because we don't either. Just kidding. But what they're doing is they're short circuiting a major point of friction within the NFT process, which we also built into our marketplace from the beginning, which is allowing people to purchase NFTs without using cryptocurrency. I'll give you another example of this soon, another pretty successful NFT drop where they did the same thing. Here's a second pat on the back for this idea that NFTs are the next big thing. In April 2023, this month, McKinsey listed the elements brands need to employ and engage, increase Gen Z loyalty. We see that as being able to extrapolate these points to other generations as well, based on some successful NFT campaigns, which I'll show you in a little bit as well. Okay, and the interesting thing was McKinsey was not writing about NFTs, but it was like boom, 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 literally a checklist of what an NFT campaign could do for you. So what is an NFT? Do not worry, we're not going to do a deep dive. We're just going to give you, it's kind of like, with your cell phone. I don't need to know how my cell phone works inside. I just want it to work. Similar to with NFTs. So for our purposes, an NFT is a piece of code registered on a blockchain that describes a unique asset. That information usually includes the owner or creator of the asset. And here's this is an NFT. That's all it is. Not too scary, right? So the NFT is not the asset itself. So for example, people talk about art NFTs, buy my art NFT or buy my NFT in the art space. And it's fine. We're not going to change and be super picky about making sure everybody's talking about, is that your art or is that your NFT? But just, you should know if you're running a campaign that the NFT is not the asset itself. Here is a lovely image from a campaign that's currently on Impactoverse. She Hygiene is a really amazing social benefit organization that is helping girls in, I believe, India with hygienic products for their periods. So NFT is not the asset itself. It's the code on the blockchain that describes the asset. So what does assets could be? A lot of things, not just artwork. Artwork made the biggest splash with NFTs, but the space is evolving to the fact that any digital or real thing, asset, could have an NFT attached to it. So real estate, clothing, card titles, music, experiences, rewards. The key is it's a unique asset. It's not one of a jillion of the same thing. The key is that it's unique. So those are all examples of NFT use cases. You might see this term thrown around and it may be new to you. So it simply means, how are these things used? Use cases. All righty, how our market is already using NFTs for the mainstream audience. Gets interesting. So they attract and engage audience with shared values. They're using NFTs to siphon fans from social media platforms and into owned audiences. So the analogy for this is email marketing, and email marketing isn't going away as the mainstream comes over, but if you can get somebody into your email list and then also have a relationship with them based on a cryptocurrency wallet at some point, then there are steps in between that. It doesn't all have to happen in the same step, but it gives you an opportunity to create richer experiences and build brand loyalty with that owned audience. NFTs are also an inexpensive way to monetize creative IP because there's very low manufacturing and production costs relative to, quote, real items. So strategy tips for successful NFT marketing campaigns. So here's an example. In 2021, Nura Health sold one NFT, one of one just means one of a kind, one NFT for what at the time was about 4.4 million. This was a traditional kind of Web3 NFT sale, right? Meaning that it was purchased in ETH using Ether, which is the cryptocurrency of the Ethereum blockchain. And so hopefully Nura Health quickly converted that into fiat money because that number is now approximately $2,600, whereas before it was 4.4 million. That speaks to the volatility in the cryptocurrency market. So what we want to talk about is decoupling NFTs for marketing from cryptocurrency. That's not a super popular view among crypto advocates, but we're advocating more for the larger adoption of NFTs in a user-friendly, safer way. So what you would like to do is use a platform that accepts credit cards. You want to decouple cryptocurrency from the mainstream NFT purchasing experience because most mainstream purchasers of NFTs in a marketing campaign context, they're not collecting an NFT as an investment to sell later. They're collecting it as for other reasons that we'll talk to in a little bit. Crypto wallets introduce huge friction in the sales process for first-time buyers. It took me half a day to set up my first crypto wallet, and I'm actually pretty savvy with things online. So, and that was a few months ago, but at any rate, and it's not just us, again, saying this because there are some campaigns that are also totally just short-circuiting the whole crypto wallet requirement. One of them is Trump. We'll talk about him in a second. But NBA Top Shop. So they reached $1 billion in sales amid NFT market downturn in November 2022. They are a super successful example of a brand that's monetizing their IP and a $1 billion in sales, US dollar, not cryptocurrency. Okay, so Donald Trump's campaign is really interesting, and we'll talk just a little bit about it. It was a controversial NFT drop late last year, earlier this year, I don't remember exactly, but so this is an example of an NFT campaign that did not, you could use credit cards, and they knew what they were doing because they knew they were not launching to crypto native insiders. This is a big mistake I see with crypto native Web3 NFT marketing campaigns when they're trying to launch to a wider audience. They assume that you already have a wallet, or they assume that if you don't have a wallet, you'll just pop over there and open one up. And there have been some really high profile celebrities that have launched NFT campaigns that have flopped. And I believe it's because they didn't pay any attention to the customer journey. So in Trump's case, he had a very smart team and their sales statistics proved them right. 70% of their sales were to first-time NFT buyers. I can't think of a more thoroughly, solidly mainstream audience than Donald Trump. So this is such a good case study, even regardless of your political feelings about him one way or the other. So other thing he did right was instead of trying to sell the NFTs, he led with trusted analogies. He calls them trading cards, Trump trading cards, and sweepstakes. And then there was also a sweepstakes component. Sorry. So those are two things that made people feel like, oh, I know what this is. It's a bridge, right? Bridge to getting them into the NFT space. Other things that help their campaign performance is polarizing project video. Love or hate him, that's the point. The video is pure Donald Trump. It did not disappoint. And then the user interface, user experience of the actual campaign itself was very non-Web3-ish. It didn't have cartoons and black dark colors and neon colors. It had a very traditional look and feel, which again speaks to his audience. Use of sweepstakes, we talked about that. You also want to watch your language on the landing page copy, not in terms of profanity, but in terms of where is the headspace of your visitor. And they took the time in their copy to simply define, what an NFT is. And so it was very welcoming language to their audience because they know their audience really well. And then his community is extremely tight, right, in terms of uh, his relationship with his followers. So he emphasized that quite a bit. You're going to be welcomed into my community. I should have counted how many times he said the word community, but it was very enticing if you were a Donald Trump fan. So, and I have a detailed overview of what made this NFT drop successful on Zenledger. I'm a featured blogger on Zenledger's blog, and I was fortunate that they asked me to write about this because it was a really interesting assignment. So Zoom on Trump NFT collection, zenledger.io, go over there and search in the blog for Trump, and you can see the rest of the case study. So let's talk about McKinsey. So they listed the elements brands need to employ to engage and increase Gen Z loyalty. And for reasons that I talked about with some of the successful NFT campaigns that we've seen, we believe you can translate these over to other generations that are probably like mainstream early adopters for NFTs. A rewarding loyalty program, access to exclusive community, and what is the flex, the importance of the flex. What that means is, can you give them something that they can then show off to their friends that their competitors cannot replicate? This is like NFT. You couldn't describe a better set of descriptors for an NFT campaign, because an NFT is a unique asset. Gamification, or adding elements like games, like rewards and points to things, and then a platform that shares their passions and grow like-minded community. Again, TikTok is a great example of a platform that's doing that at scale very, very well. So it works. Then the last thing McKinsey mentioned, and I love them for this because they are the credible data space of consultancy in the data space. So an ESG proposition, partner with a cause or influencer on an exclusive clout generating collab. That's a direct quote from them. Because what we have seen based on some other research that I did late last year is when you give people a chance to live their values, you create a very powerful emotional tie. And Donald Trump's followers, again, are a stark, if controversial example, and not just with NFT drops. You can also check out David Allison's Value Graphics Research, another great database that will support this idea that values-based marketing, trust-based marketing, really is the higher ROI space to be playing in. So why cause collabs? And one common expression of that is with cause collabs. So why cause collabs? Consumers want to know where brands stand on issues now. Consumers didn't used to really care as much. They do now, and I'm especially since the pandemic. So it's not even like a choice so much anymore. Brands used to think, oh, cause collab would be a great thing to do, raise awareness around this, but it's sort of just one of those nice things to do. Now it is the way to differentiate, especially going into a recession, especially. Because the other thing is people don't trust governments or institutions. There's a trust void. They already feel like they have relationships with brands, which is interesting. And brands with shared values build trust, fill that trust void. And the TikTok creator brands there's a million examples literally over on TikTok of this exact dynamic. Okay, we'll get to the questions at the end. Thanks. So how do I? Sorry. Okay. Let's see. So how do we know that consumers want to know where you stand? 50 to 70% of consumers factor in a brand stance. And at the same time, different statistic, speaking to the same idea around consumer mindset, 62% of consumers feel like they have a relationship with the brand already. There's the sources below. You can also contact me and I can send you direct links. So summing up hours and hours of research that I did and what we are continuing to talk about over on Impactoverse's blog Shared values build emotional connection. That equals brand loyalty. That equals higher customer lifetime value. And that equals higher long-term ROI. So cause marketing is the most powerful way to build emotional connection, trust, and loyalty. But another way, sort of more visually, values matter, build trust, connection-based loyalty, and transparency and community. So Web3 happens to be the most ideal space to create transparency and community because of the different characteristics of blockchain. Transparency is built in if it's used correctly. So Web3 tools are offering new ways to build trust with owned audiences. And you can check out this post for a deep dive Web 2 to 3 marketing primer for brands and agencies. We also did our last impact speed date was recession proof your brand loyalty, which got into a deeper dive around some of the data that I touched on at the end of this presentation. It's also on YouTube. Any questions? Here's our information. You can reach out to us. And if you go to Medium, the website that hosts a lot of blogs, medium.com, and you search Impactoverse, our blog will come up, and there's also a ton of, I must say, well-written content over there with a lot of statistics to back up what we're talking about. Okay, all right, so we were pretty much right on time. Let me go back, see if I can find pause share. And chat. Okay, how do you make a start, make or buy an NFT? And where does someone get involved if it's totally new? For community, also for marketer. Okay, those are a couple different questions. So let me take the second part first. Where does someone get involved if it's totally new? For community, also for marketing? This depends upon your audience. So if your audience is already Web3 savvy, then you want to get involved with a Discord membership, a Discord space. You want to start hanging out over on Discord and strategically reaching out to people. Also, OpenSea, the more traditional Web3 platforms, you want to get familiar with those. Now, my issue with Discord and OpenSea is if your audience is more mainstream and you're trying to bring them over, you don't want to throw them over to Discord, in my opinion, or send them straight to OpenSea. Not to be self-serving, because this is not a promotional video, but Impactoverse is built from the ground up to be mainstream friendly. So Impactoverse is a place where you could go register your company, your cause, your brand. You could find creators over there, and we're building an ecosystem around this. And it's a very different look and feel from something like an OpenSea. So it really depends upon your audience. How do you make a start, make, or buy an NFT? All right. Well, again, if you're for an individual, you can sign up on either platform, and it might be an interesting experiment for you to sign up either on OpenSea or with Impactoverse. And creating an NFT is uploading your artwork, basically. So I won't get into the creative process because that's outside of marketing, really. I mean, if you're creating an NFT for marketing purposes, again, you're going to look at your audience, what makes sense for them, what would they value. And if you're partnering with a cause collab, obviously it's going to have something to do with what the cause collab, what their mission is, right? We have a kind of, what's it called? Turnkey campaign we're working with is called Pet Drops. And Pet Drops is a campaign that anybody can contribute to with NFTs of their pets to help a cause. So that's already set up, ready to go. Any brand can interact with that. It's a great first way to get started. And I mean, literally, who doesn't like pets? So that's an idea as well. So I'm hoping that answers questions around how to get started. And if there's not anything else, I think we're good for now. Okay. All right. So anyway, once again, thank you so much. Yeah, thanks, Noleen. Hope you feel better. And thank you guys for joining us. If you're watching this on the replay, we are here for you. Let me just show our screen one last time. And that's our speed date. So we hope to see you on a repeat speed date. We're doing these every other Thursday. We may ramp up to every Thursday. We'll see how it goes. But thanks so much. Bye, guys.